Nestled amidst the turquoise waters of the Indian Ocean lies the seemingly idyllic Diego Garcia. This tropical atoll, however, harbors a secret. It is home to one of the most strategically important yet least known U.S. military bases. Diego Garcia embodies the hidden face of America's global military footprint, a sprawling network of bases, installations, and troops stationed across the globe. While the exact number remains shrouded in secrecy, estimates suggest over 800 overseas military bases, dwarfing the handful maintained by other nations, including China. This vast network, often operating beyond public scrutiny, raises critical questions about its purpose, cost, and impact on global stability. The base on Diego Garcia serves as a logistical hub for U.S. military operations in the Middle East and Asia. It has played a pivotal role in numerous interventions, including the Afghanistan and Iraq wars. Despite its remote location, Diego Garcia highlights the expansive reach of U.S. military power. This far-reaching presence, often established through agreements with host countries, has profound implications for both American foreign policy and the domestic affairs of nations hosting these bases. Understanding the historical context behind this sprawling network is crucial to grasping its present-day significance and potential consequences. The genesis of America's global military footprint can be traced back to the Cold War. As tensions escalated with the Soviet Union, the U.S. embarked on a strategy of containment, establishing a network of bases across Europe and Asia. Germany, Japan, and South Korea became crucial outposts in this ideological struggle, hosting thousands of American troops and a formidable arsenal of weapons. These bases served as a deterrent against Soviet expansion and a symbol of American commitment to its allies. While the Cold War ended decades ago, the U.S. military presence in these countries persists. The rationale has shifted from containing communism to countering new threats like terrorism and regional instability. However, the continued presence of these bases has drawn criticism from both local populations and international observers. Some argue that these bases are relics of a bygone era, fueling tensions and undermining regional security. Others question their necessity in a world grappling with transnational challenges that require cooperation rather than confrontation. The September 11th attacks marked a turning point in America's global military posture. The subsequent war on terror led to a dramatic expansion of U.S. military presence, particularly in the Middle East and Africa. Countries like Iraq, Afghanistan, and Djibouti became focal points of this new front, hosting sprawling bases and supporting covert operations. The justification for this expansion centered on combating terrorism, preventing the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, and promoting stability in volatile regions. However, the secrecy surrounding many of these operations, coupled with reports of civilian casualties and human rights abuses, fueled controversy. The effectiveness of these interventions in achieving their stated objectives also remains a subject of debate. Critics argue that the focus on military solutions has exacerbated instability, fueled resentment towards the U.S., and diverted resources from addressing the root causes of terrorism and conflict.
The secrecy surrounding many of these operations, coupled with reports of civilian casualties and human rights abuses, has fueled controversy. The effectiveness of these interventions in achieving their stated objectives also remains a subject of debate. Critics argue that the focus on military solutions has exacerbated instability, fueled resentment towards the US, and diverted resources from addressing the root causes of terrorism and conflict.
Section 4, A New Era of Tension, Encircling the Dragon, Confronting the Bear.
As the 21st century unfolds, America's global military footprint is increasingly geared towards countering the rise of China and a resurgent Russia. The U.S. has bolstered its military presence in the Asia-Pacific region, strengthening alliances with countries like Japan, South Korea, and Australia. This strategic pivot, often referred to as the pivot to Asia, aims to contain China's growing influence and maintain American dominance in the region.
Simultaneously, the U.S. has stepped up military exercises and deployments in Eastern Europe in response to Russia's actions in Ukraine, raising concerns of a renewed Cold War. This renewed focus on great power competition has reignited debates about the role of military force in international relations.
Critics argue that this militarized approach to foreign policy risks escalating tensions and undermining diplomatic efforts to address global challenges. They call for a more nuanced strategy that prioritizes diplomacy, economic cooperation, and international institutions over military might. Section 5. A question of priorities, the price of global dominance. Maintaining hundreds of military bases and deploying troops across the globe comes at a staggering cost. The United States spends more on its military than any other country, with the defense budget consistently exceeding that of the next 10 nations combined. This prioritization of military spending has significant implications for domestic priorities, as funds are diverted from education, healthcare, infrastructure, and other vital social programs. This trade-off between military spending and domestic needs has sparked intense debate, with some arguing that the US can no longer afford to be the world's policeman. The opportunity cost of maintaining such a vast military apparatus is immense. Investing in diplomacy, development assistance, and global cooperation could yield greater dividends in terms of security and prosperity for both the US and the world. A reassessment of priorities is essential to ensure that resources are allocated effectively to address the most pressing challenges facing humanity.
Section 6. The true cost of war beyond dollars and cents.
The true cost of America's global military footprint extends far beyond the billions of dollars spent annually. The human toll of war, both for American service members and civilians in conflict zones, is immeasurable. Thousands of U.S. troops have lost their lives in wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, and other theaters of conflict. Countless others bear the physical and psychological scars of war.
Moreover, the civilian casualties of U.S. military interventions, often underreported and unaccounted for, paint a stark picture of the devastating consequences of war. Beyond the immediate casualties, the environmental impact of military activities, including pollution, deforestation, and the use of depleted uranium munitions, poses long-term threats to ecosystems and human health.
Addressing the legacy of war, from unexploded ordnance to the trauma inflicted on communities, requires sustained attention and resources.
Section 7. Rethinking Global Hegemony, a call for transparency and accountability.
America's vast global military footprint, a legacy of the Cold War and the War on Terror, raises fundamental questions about the country's role in the world. While proponents argue that this presence is essential for maintaining global stability and protecting American interests, critics question its effectiveness, cost, and ethical implications.
As the US grapples with new challenges, from climate change to pandemics, a reassessment of its global military posture is imperative. Transparency and accountability are crucial for any meaningful reassessment. The US government must be more transparent about the size, scope, and cost of its overseas military presence.
Congress should exercise greater oversight over military spending and foreign interventions. Engaging in a national dialogue about the role of military force in the 21st century is essential for crafting a foreign policy that prioritizes diplomacy, cooperation, and the pursuit of a more just and peaceful world. The American people, who ultimately bear the costs of this global military footprint, deserve a say in shaping the country's future role in the world.